It's Philly the Kid, not Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
Hi and welcome to the Ruben Tuesday. My name is Ruben and I've got my son with me again today. He is... We'll start that one again. Okay. Hi and welcome to the Ruben Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is...
Ethan.
And today we are doing another Netflix original series anime review called Cannon Busters. So Cannon Busters, there's 12 episodes. They're all 25 minutes, kind of standard anime length. There's a protagonist named Philly the Kid, not Billy the Kid. And he has two kind of companions, not really willing companions, because he doesn't like anybody traveling along with him, but they're androids. And there's this whole overarching story where one of the androids wants to find her long-lost best friend, the prince of a kingdom. And we're going to do no spoilers, so that's why I'm kind of skirting around the edges, because actually there are some plot points within the story that if I say will give something away. So that's all I'm going to say about the major kind of story arc.
Nice to meet you.
So this anime, we were quite surprised by the first episode. I wasn't sure whether I was going to like it because it came across quite childish. I was wondering whether we were watching an anime for young children. I had to check and look at the age restriction, which is a 15. But as the first episode progresses, it starts crossing these genres, which was very unexpected. So throughout the 12 episodes, I found myself laughing a lot more than I expected. And then it gets pretty dark. What do you think about this anime?
Well, it feels like it's trying to be PG, but then an episode later, you've got people being skinned. And they make aprons out of their skin.
Yep.
Yeah, so that about sums up the variety of the genres.
I couldn't have asked for anything more that I wanted from an anime of things that they would put in. So normally you would watch one particular anime with one particular genre, like Naruto for ninjas.
Take your best shot.
This anime's got that. Or you watch Gundam Wing for, Transformers.
Fire now!
This anime's got that. And it's just, it crosses all boundaries. From creatures to dog people to robots doing strange things to hillbillies skinning people to, just anything you can think of almost, this anime has that. And normally people would suggest maybe that it's too condensed, it's too confined, there's too much going on, it would be too crazy. But somehow it works.
Yeah, they've actually done a really good job explaining everything. It all makes sense and everything has a backstory. They might not elaborate too much on the backstory, but it makes sense as a whole.
One of the most frustrating things I think about this anime is that there are really interesting characters. For example, there's this old ninja dude. And when you start finding out some of his backstory, it's really interesting and you'll want to know a lot more, but it only follows his story for a little while longer. I can only imagine that in further seasons that we'll get more of his backstory. One of the other things I wasn't too sure of in this anime was the animation style. When I was watching it originally, I thought it was very basic and I was trying to figure out between whether it was just computer generated or they multiplied the frames all on computer generation. It doesn't look hand-drawn. And it kind of took me out of it a bit. But then there are places where I think the animation is superb. Part of the creativeness that you were talking about is that I think even in episode 1 and episode 12, there's these black and white stills or frames, the drawing that just looks stunning. I think I remember saying to you that I would love those stills just as posters because it looks so great. For me, one of the best things about this anime was how much fun I had watching it. It was like a breath of fresh air. We've seen so much anime and way too much probably. And it's very hard to come across something that feels fresh and original. And although this pulls from so many genres and it probably kind of reminds us of a lot of other things, I said this reminds me a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. I know, how dare I even mention the greatness of Cowboy Bebop. And even Thundercats to a certain extent, which was a weird place my mind went to. But how great this anime is, how much fun you have with it. So once you get past the thing that you thought maybe at the beginning it was trying to do a childish thing, like oh, this is an anime for for kids. It's not. It's just that the dialogue is really quirky, and then the juxtaposition, the contrast of the anime is that it's so dark in places, and I mean really dark in places.
There's a huge contrast between everything in this anime, from the cowboy-style places to floating cities in the sky. If you've ever seen Kino's Journey, it's a lot like that, except the main character is an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the main protagonist, Philly the Kid, because he's been given this gift, and a lot of the characters reference what they would do if they had this gift. Like, if you have immortality and you can live forever, there were so many things you could do for the world and be a better man and be a better person. But he doesn't care. He's just, well, for the time being, until the story progresses, he tends not to care. He's just doing his own thing. And I love the fact the protagonist never shies away from his character. He's never written a different way. They kind of stick to their guns with who his character is. The worst thing you can do with a character is you establish what he is, the kind of rebel, badass guy that, you know, doesn't give two hoots, and then he carries on there. But if you moved that character away from that, it would just feel wrong. And they stick to their characters. They do define them somewhat, and you do get backstories, as you mentioned, and you understand why he is the way he is. And I was surprisingly emotionally engaged as well.
Yeah. The character's backstory, like I said, they all make sense, so you do get emotionally attached to them, even if they are such an annoying character.
And they are annoying characters. I find often the mechanic, the small bot that fixes everything, her words and her dialogue can be quite grating. But when they start giving backstories or more, I guess, human characteristics to the androids, you kind of tend to like them. Especially the main android, when you find out about her backstory, you tend to care about her more. And I think they've done that. The balance between making you enjoy the anime to giving backstory without monologuing all the time, I think is quite unique. And I feel like they've packed so much into this anime, but also just developed the story of what they were going for, from a journey story from A to B. They're going to rescue a prince, or they want to find the prince, and that's the story. But in amongst that, you get to visit all these towns and unique peoples, and it's almost different every episode.
Yeah, it's very episodic. There's different stories for each episode, but there's still an overarching storyline.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed this anime. I was surprised how much I wanted more at the end. I was surprised because it's a Netflix original. They kind of tend to be hits or misses. And I know Netflix kind of get a bad rap sometimes with their original content. But when it comes to the anime, I think they've been fairly strong with some titles. But this one, I thought it was really fun to watch. It's an anime that I highly recommend, because I think if you're looking for something that's quite unique and different, then give it a chance. At least give it a couple of episodes before you go, no, that's not for me. One of the other unique attributes, I don't know if it's unique, but I really liked it, was the score and music. Certain times they had different tempos, different genres of music complementing each episode, which I think is fantastic. There was a really Western feel. I mean, there is a Western feeling throughout the anime, because it's very gritted, very like each town feels like they have sheriffs, you know, it's guns, you know, you have your gun shootouts, and you have that Western feel. But at times there were different soundtrack scores to each episode. There was one jazz sequence that reminded me very much of Blade Runner, which I thought was fantastic, and the mood and tone shifted for that. So for you, Ethan, before we give it a score and we wrap up and say what we think about this as a whole, what was the best points about this? What did you like about the anime?
Well, I did say that the main character I didn't like, but that's not to say that he doesn't grow as a character. And his interactions with the other main characters were absolutely fantastic. The dialogue between them, and every other character for that matter, was excellent. And I think that's what gripped me.
Yeah, I think the interactions between the characters are brilliant. The scripting for me is tight, it's fast, it's punchy. There is a moment when one of the characters, where Philly the Kid, is teaching the android how to have a sense of humor, and that reminded me a little bit of Terminator. And I just remembered really relating at that moment to Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, they're giving it real human characteristics, or you yourself are willing those characteristics on that android, and they do that there. And I think it was, for me, for that moment when those androids really, well, that particular android became something more than just an android. It was a proper character, and I really liked that. I think that was clever.
You're crazy, man.
Worst character?
I would have to say the second main bad guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generic.
They don't have a backstory, they're just evil.
Mm.
They do show a bit of human traits.
Yeah.
Because they got angry at the main bad guy.
Yeah. If we were to say anything negative about this anime, I would say that is probably because there's early days yet with this anime. They haven't really gone deeply into the main bad guys, and as I skirt around, not wanting to give anything away, their backstory. And you need to make your bad guys as strong as your good guys in storyline and as an arc, because your good guys are only as strong as your bad guys, and that is probably the weakest point because we haven't seen much.
I do like the very main bad guy though.
Okay.
Because they do have a backstory, and I think they'll elaborate heavily on that.
I hope so in the next season.
They seem to have set up a lot that they could do.
So I think the future is bright for this anime. It's one I'm going to be anticipating. Like, I'm going to be really excited to see the next season. And I knew nothing about this anime.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
It just dropped, and I was like, ooh, new Netflix anime. Yeah. So, should I give my rating first, or do you want to give yours?
You can go first.
So I think because it has the backstory issues for the bad guys, I can't give it an A+. But I think it's a solid anime, and I really enjoyed it. The dialogue was tight. The animation is basic in parts, but when you get to certain action sequences, it's beautiful. The dialogue is fast, punchy, just so enjoyable. So I'm going to give it an A.
I don't think I can give it an A+, because they can flesh out the characters more. I did say earlier that they only slightly elaborated on the backstories. They've set up a solid base for them, but they need to do more. And I'll be looking forward to that in season 2 if they make one. But I think it's still a solid A.
It's 2 A's. Yeah, so thanks for watching our ramblings on this new anime from Netflix called Canon Busters. I'm really looking forward to more. We're going to be doing a review as well for the next anime. Well, I don't know if it's animated film from Netflix.
Invader Zim.
That's dropped now. Look forward to that. Thanks so much for watching. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.